Okay, so here we have a quadratic equation that we're supposed to solve using the quadratic formula. Now we could use the quadratic formula with a equal to the 0.2, b equal to 0.4, and c equal to negative 0.3. However, that's just a little bit of a pain, and you don't have to do that if you think about the multiplication property of equality. We're allowed to multiply by any non-zero number as long as we multiply both sides of the equation. So if I just multiply through both sides of this equation by 10, this problem becomes a little bit easier to work with. Just a little simpler too. Even putting it into a calculator would be easier if we didn't have all these decimals. So multiplying through by 10 on both sides of the equation, we get an equivalent equation, meaning the answers will be the same as the original equation. So 2x squared plus 4x minus 3, a little bit easier to work with. So quadratic formula we will be using in our quadratic formula, which you do need to memorize the quadratic formula. We will be using a equals 2, b equals 4, and c equals negative 3. So quadratic formula says that when ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then x is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So putting our numbers in here for this particular problem, x will be equal to the opposite of b, so that'll be negative 4, plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is a negative 3. Make sure you follow along with the signs. All over 2 times 2. So now we just need to simplify this. Now pay attention to the signs, because negative 4 plus or minus, this will become 16 plus 24. Did you notice the negative times the negative there? So 16 plus 24, and then 2 times 2 is 4 in the denominator. So now we're going to continue simplifying. So this is negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 40 all over 4. Now if we simplify, the square root of 40 is square root of 4 times square root of 10. And now square root of 4 is 2. And then factoring out from the numerator our GCF, or greatest common factor, if we factor out a 2 from that numerator, we can reduce this fraction. So 2 times negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 10, and that's all over 4 still. So if we reduce, then the 2 and the 4 would reduce down to leave a 2. So in a reduced form, written in the usual way that these answers are left, we would end up with x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 10 all over 2. Now, this is also a correct way to leave that answer. This is the preferred way to leave an answer like this. If we had a complex number, in other words, if we had an I, we would split it up into two separate fractions, most likely. And you could do that with this problem. So negative 2 over 2 makes negative 1, and then plus or minus the square root of 10 over 2. We can't really do anything with that other than just write down square root of 10 over 2. So this would also be an acceptable way to leave that answer. But this one is the preferred way to leave it. I would count either one as correct, but the one that I circled in red here is a little bit nicer, just a little cleaner looking.